Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Hong Kong film. Descendant of Meng rising from Kowloon. Other people are wandering around Hong Kong Island, holding people's stinky feet, being humble, and valuing harmony in everything. Cao Yaozu lived on Hong Kong Island, daring and caring for his sister.in.law, and resorted to all means to eliminate dissidents. Starting as an undercover agent, become the big brother, Hong Kong Island Uni President, a beautiful collector, and the godfather of the world. Marching into global film and television, Cao's real estate, producing low-cost anti-cancer drugs. Establishing the Oriental Pinkerton Detective Office, Cao's military industry enterprise, and a world-class private military company. In the documentary, The World's Richest Man, the former club leader's eyes were filled with fear. Other short mules go out to fight, Cao Yaozu goes out to fight. Jiacheng's eyes showed admiration and said, "Don't try to play with capital on Hong Kong Island, because if a coin falls from the sky, it must be surnamed Cao." Even the subtitler of the documentary said, "I only wrote the names of the women around him for 8 hours, not because I finished writing, but because I got off work." Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. 002, Kowloon, Fine Eyes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Whose shoes? Big Rotten said angrily. Immediately, show off and fight. The sister.in.law quickly stepped back and rolled her eyes as she wanted to speak. What and whose shoes? Who are the men's shoes on the ground? Big Rotten Hair asked with an unpleasant expression. The sister.in.law just glanced at the ground and immediately said, harmful. I don't know what's going on with the sewer today. It's not only blocked but also keeps spraying water out. I just asked Azu to come and fix it. Azu. Big Rotten Hair frowned into a lump. Recently, he has been in conflict with the indigenous gangs in Kowloon. Although the disaster was not enough for his family, he still felt uneasy when going out to tell the story, so he asked Cao Yaozu to bring his brothers over and protect his woman outside the house. Yeah, Azu is inside. The sister.in.law pointed to the bathroom. By the way, didn't you go to work today? Why did you come back so early? Don't mention it. Big Rotten Hair waved impatiently. Did you just say the sewer was blocked? He gave his sister.in.law a suspicious glance and walked towards the room. Phage. Cao Yaozu greeted without looking back, and then pretended to pull out those hair. Sister-in-law, be careful not to let your hair fall in the future, otherwise it will get stuck. Cao Yaozu wiped the sweat off his forehead. Is it really blocked? Big Lao Fa still had a skeptical look in his eyes. The sister.in.law nodded and said, thanks to Azu, otherwise the house would stink to death. Why didn't you notify me? Big Rotten replied. The sister.in.law suddenly fell silent, but quickly gave him a white glance. You only know how to fight and kill, can you drain the sewer? That's right. Big Rotten Hair scratched his huge bald head. He really doesn't know how to do such delicate work. Alright, Azu, you go back. Big Rotten Hair looked at Cao Yaozu, who was covered in dirt, and pinched his nose. Seeing Cao Yaozu covered in dirt and his broken hair on the ground, although Big Rotten Hair had some doubts in his heart, he didn't think too much about it. Yes, Phage. Cao Yaozu nodded and immediately left. Arriving at the roadside, there was a sea lion van parked on the side of the road, and several Hongqing 49Z were squatting beside the van smoking. Zhu Gu. Upon seeing Cao Yaozu's arrival, he stood up directly. Cao Yaozu nodded and said, Brother Fa has already returned. We can withdraw now. After speaking, I got on the co-pilot of the sea lion van. One of them, Hong Xingzi, who is in his 30s and has a lewd face, is sitting in the driver's seat with some weight gain. Cao Yaozu seemed to have thought of something and took a deep glance at this sleazy little brother. This little brother only joined Hongxing a few months ago. Cao Yaozu remembers, this little brother's name is Cao Dahua. Good guy, isn't Cao Dahua an undercover agent at the police station for Lenovo's past life Hong Kong movies? In the vast majority of cases, undercover agents do not know the other person's background. But not knowing the predecessor does not mean that Cao Yaozu did not know. Zuj, where are we going? Cao Dahua asked with a smile. Where can we go? Let's go home, Cao Yaozu said somewhat displeased. It's not a bad thing to keep Cao Dahua, there's no need to expose him. What really annoyed Cao Yaozu was that the interior decoration was only halfway through and the glue had not been applied yet. Not to the fullest. However, Cao Dahua didn't reply, but his smile on his face became increasingly lewd. How are your eyes today? Cao Yaozu asked. Is it sleazy? Cao Dahua asked with a smirk. Obscure, very obscene. Cao Yaozu nodded in agreement. Cao Dahua approached with a sinister smile on his face and said, Zhu Gu, I just received a letter from brother Xian. There are more than 10 new girls from Malan's side, calling for you to go and test the clock. Upon hearing these words, Cao Yaozu immediately came to his senses. Taking a deep breath, let's go. Big Phoenix bathing. At noon, the bathing center had not yet opened for business, and there was only a group of spectators named Hong Xingzi inside. Fine-eyed is practicing boxing. And those 4 or 9 kids are smokers, playing cards. Zuj. Zuj. These Hong Xingzi stood up immediately to greet Cao Yaozu when they saw him. Brothers, please sit down. Cao Yaozu asked Cao Dahua to open the few cigarettes he had just bought and distribute a pack to each person. Damn it. Let you try the clock so slowly. Fine-eyed, he approached Cao Yaozu and gave him a beating on the chest, revealing a smile that men all understand, what's up? Cao Yaozu smiled and took a step back. There are several leaders at the entrance of Jiolong Hall. The one with the best relationship with him is Xian. Otherwise, a good thing like trying a clock wouldn't just be called by a narrow eye. Where's the younger sister? Cao Yaozu looked around and asked. Don't worry. I haven't finished punching yet, why don't we practice together? Her fine eyes raised her fists still wrapped in straps. Damn it, who wouldn't know that you're punching like a crazy dog with your fine eyes? I don't want to get hurt all over. Cao Yaozu quickly refused. The Han family has 3 brothers in total. The eldest Dinosaur, the second Slim-eyed, and the third Han Bin. Among the 3 brothers, except for the Penny Tiger and Han Bin, who were elegant in appearance, the dinosaurs and the slim-eyed ones were all big and thick in size. Take the slender eyes as an example, with tangled muscles all over his body and arms almost as thick as Cao Yaozu's thighs, his strength was extremely terrifying. Without much entanglement in her eyes, she smiled and untied her straps. Let's go, we're all upstairs. Second floor, VIP room. Fine-eyed, I finally understand now how your title came about. Cao Yaozu scrutinized his eyes and said with a smile on his face. How did it come from? Asked with a narrow eye. As the name suggests, there are nuances in the rough, Cao Yaozu said with a smile. You are jumping on the street. Xiaoyan immediately blushed and threw the towel at Cao Yaozu, but Cao Yaozu smiled and dodged. However, in the depths of my narrow eyes, a hint of envy flashed. Actually, he's quite normal. It's abnormal, it's Cao Yaozu. It is undeniable that there is indeed a gap between people. People like Cao Yaozu, who were born with their own strengths, are rare. Almost done, call someone. Xian called the front desk. However, at this moment, the narrow-eyed call machine suddenly rang. After taking a glance at the information, he immediately stood up and quickly put on his clothes. What's going on? Cao Yaozu asked in confusion. The matter with my third brother, said Jingyan. What about Mr. Bin? Cao Yaozu also sat up. Do you need any help? No need. Fine, I'd said as he put on his clothes. I'll go help him with the work first, and I'll leave this to you. Leave it to me. I'll rely on it. Cao Yaozu's face changed. However, before he could speak, he quickly put on his clothes and strode away. At the same time. Dang 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 dang. The sound of high heels tapping on the ground is chaotic and crisp. With the sound of knocking on the door, more than 10 little girls walked in step by step under the guidance of security. Where's Brother Xian? The security guard saw that only Cao Yaozu was there, and asked in confusion. He went out for something. Cao Yaozu shook his head. Upon hearing this, the security guard immediately chuckled and said, then I won't disturb you. After speaking, close the door and leave. In the room, only Cao Yaozu and the dozen or so little girls remained silently staring at each other. Paused for a moment. Zudge. These little girls let out a crisp cry, and a strange light flowed in their eyes. They originally thought they would be facing a rough man with a face full of flesh and a rough physique. When I saw Cao Yaozu's handsome face, my eyes became straight and my legs instinctively tightened. 004. A man born in heaven and earth cannot be gloomy. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Azu, Delanfa is suspicious of us. What? Cao Yaozu's voice suddenly increased by 8 degrees. I thought to myself, it doesn't make sense. Yesterday, I worked hard to clear the sewer, it was so professional. How could it be discovered? Is it the previous few times? Thinking of this, Cao Yaozu rolled his eyes and said, what did he say? Upon hearing this, the sister.in.law burst into tears and said, he asked me if you had an affair with Azu and even hit me. After speaking, the sister.in.law took off the scarf from her face. The right eye socket is slightly blue, and the cheeks are still swollen with residual fingerprints on it. It looks like he's really going to die. Damn it, why are you still looking for me? Cao Yaozu suddenly became unhappy. At a critical moment, the two of them should have avoided suspicion, but as a result, sister.in.law, this brainless guy, actually ran straight to him. Isn't this a case of seeking death? Upon hearing this, the sister.in.law cried and hugged Cao Yaozu. I don't care. I can't stand him anymore. Think of a way, said the sister.in.law with a pitiful tone. What can be done? What can be done? Cao Yaozu pushed the jade figure in his arms away with some annoyance. Although pressed down by the watermelon, it feels quite comfortable. But after yesterday's fierce battle, Cao Yaozu has not yet retired from the sage mode. The sister.in.law asked tentatively, how about we run? Cao Yaozu sat helplessly on the bed and said, you are obsessed with fishing. Hong Kong Island is full of people from Hongqing. Even if you run outside, you can still hide for a while, not for a lifetime. The sister.in.law suddenly bit her silver teeth and stared straight at him. Sister-in-law, what kind of gaze are you looking at? Cao Yaozu keenly caught the murderous intent in sister-in-law's eyes. Why don't you just do it for a while, said the sister.in.law, gritting her teeth. Cao Yaozu took a cold breath and said, are you saying? Get rid of the hair, brother. Otherwise, the sister.in.law asked in reverse. Upon hearing this, Cao Yaozu immediately stopped speaking. He admits that he is not a good person. With golden fingers around me, coupled with the chaotic times on Hong Kong Island, as a man, it is natural to have something to do. Cao Yaozu was very clear about the character of Delanfa. Under his pressure, I can never achieve much success in my life. Amazing achievement with a red stick. A great man born in heaven and earth, how can he remain depressed for a long time? If what sister.in.law said is true. Obviously, either the elder brother died or he died himself. It can still be understood which is lighter or heavier. Cao Yaozu remained silent, lit a cigarette, and sat by the bed smoking. About 5 minutes have passed. We need to find someone to do it, and it needs to be done clean. Cao Yaozu still drove out the cigarette but on the ground. Okay, I'll wait for your message at home. The sister.in.law was about to turn around and leave, but then she seemed to think of something and turned around to peck at Cao Yaozu's face. Azu, our future happiness depends on you, she said after my sister.in.law leaves. Cao Yaozu looked at the money on the table and frowned. Finding people is easy. The Kowloon city fortress, especially the docks, is not lacking in fugitives. But now the key is, how to deal with the aftermath. What if, after the incident, a fugitive leaks the news and finds himself by following the clues? You should know that in this gray area, the intelligence capability of the community far exceeds that of the police station. After much thought, Cao Yaozu's proposed plan was gradually overturned and became somewhat restless. However, at this moment, the knocking on the door rang again. Why hasn't she left yet? Cao Yaozu stood up and opened the door. However, but what entered was Tong Mingxin. How do you know I live here? It was Ada who told you. Cao Yaozu asked. No, I found it myself, Tong Mingxin quickly said. Cao Yaozu glanced at him. Found it on your own. What did you do before? Soldiers, scouts. Cao Yaozu suddenly understood. It seems that Tong Mingxin has strong investigative abilities. Immediately, he gestured for him to enter the room and said, How is your mother doing? Tong Mingxin looked grateful and said, We have already passed the critical period, as the doctor said. Fortunately, it was delivered on time. If it is delayed by half an hour, then. Speaking of this. Tong Mingxin's face was full of positivity and he said, My mother has taught me since childhood to be grateful. Zuj, you saved my mother's life, which is equivalent to saving my life. In the future, my life will be yours. Upon hearing these words, Cao Yaozu's eyes rolled. Tong Mingxin has a clean foundation and is also very loyal in his character. In the plot, he is just a smuggler from the beautiful country, a prisoner who is used as cannon fodder. I have the opportunity to escape and start a new life. But in order to fulfill his promise, even if he worked hard, he persisted until the end and blew up the arsenal in the midst of gunfire and bullets. Your ambition is probably not to join a club, is it? Cao Yaozu asked. Tong Ming gave a bitter smile and said, I've been working as a laborer at the dock these past few years and saved some money. I was originally planning to take my mother to the beautiful country to enjoy happiness, but Zuj, you saved my mother's life. I choose to repay the kindness by following you. Cao Yaozu suddenly understood. According to the original timeline, Tong Mingxin's mother will die. Tong Mingxin went to the beautiful country alone, but was caught as a stowaway shortly after staying there. Cao Yaozu sending his mother to the hospital changed the direction of the plot and also changed the trajectory of Tong Mingxin's life. Later, Cao Yaozu chatted with Tong Mingxin for a few more words and also gained a basic understanding of Tong Mingxin's situation. I have served in the army, fought in battles, and won many medals. But medals cannot be used as food, and in poverty, one can only come to Hong Kong Island to make a living. After understanding the general situation, Cao Yaozu sent him a cigarette. Xin, let me ask you a question. Cao Yaozu stared into Tong Mingxin's eyes and said, Are you going to follow me or Hong Xing? Tong Mingxin was taken aback when asked. But after a moment of contemplation, a resolute light still appeared in his eyes, Me and Zuj, you. Very good. Cao Yaozu patted his shoulder. Then, he took out a pistol from the drawer by the bed and handed it to Tong Mingxin. If it's for others, Cao Yaozu will have to test it for a while. But Tong Mingxin, no need. Zuj, are you? Tong Mingxin took the gun and skillfully checked the firearms, asking. Xin, I need you to help me become a person. Who? Big rotten hair. Yes, obey orders. Tong Mingxin installed his gun and his face showed the determination of his time in the army. Who is Big Rotten Hair, don't you ask? Cao Yaozu was somewhat surprised. I heard from De Gu and his team that Hong Xing's residence in Kowloon is your eldest brother, Zhu Gu. Tong Mingxin said. Why don't you ask? Cao Yaozu continued. Tong Mingxin shook his head firmly and said, I have decided to follow orders, not ask questions, with you, Zuj. Cao Yaozu's eyes flashed with admiration. He was originally planning to tell Tong Mingxin the cause and effect. But Tong Mingxin was originally from a military background, and his personality of executing orders without asking for the reason was greatly appreciated by Cao Yaozu. To avoid suspicion, I want you to take action while I'm by his side. And this process must not expose yourself. Don't tell anyone about all the plans, including Ada. Cao Yaozu explained the plan to Tong Mingxin. Tong Mingxin nodded and wrote down Cao Yaozu's plan word for word. At the same time, Cao Yaozu's call machine rang. Jia Bingda said, Code person, come quickly. Big Rotten Hair. Jia Bingda Road. On the edge of Kowloon. It seems that his conversation with the Kowloon indigenous gang has collapsed. Cao Yaozu pondered for a moment and immediately stood up. Xin, get ready to take action. 005, Shocking Hong, the sound of gunfire in the alley. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Jia Bingda Road, at the junction of Kowloon and Hong Kong Island. The small merchants and vendors have long fled, and the doors of the shops on both sides are tightly closed. There are already many delinquents standing on both sides of the street, with at least 300 to 400 people on each side, each holding weapons such as knives and steel pipes, with a ferocious spirit. Although both sides have not yet started fighting, they have already cursed. On Hong Xing's side, there is naturally Big Rotten Hair, while on Kowloon's side, there is a middle-aged man in his 50s with particularly slender fingers. Cao Yaozu arrived with his people. Xian and others are also present. Phage. Cao Yaozu came to De Langfa's side. De Langfa nodded and immediately cursed angrily, Today I must kill the Han family shovel of the ghost hand Fong. Cao Yaozu nodded calmly on the surface, but frowned inwardly. De Langfa is a person with a hot temper and a strong fighting spirit. If you really doubt yourself, it would definitely not be this kind of behavior. It seems that it was really a trick set by my sister. In law. After the big bad hair is solved, sister. In law cannot stay either. The two of them were just having fun, and Cao Yaozu had no feelings for his sister. In law. I didn't wait for him to think much. Damn it, brothers. Kill a Kowloon boy and reward him 2,000 Hong Kong dollars. Slay the leader and elevate him to 4-6 red sticks. Those who can chop off the ghost hand Fong Gutu, sit on equal footing with me and jointly control the 9-Dragon Hall. Big Rotten Hair raised its arms and shouted loudly. Upon hearing these words, the prosperous young men's eyes lit up. There is still no red stick at the entrance of Jiacheng Hall, so they rushed forward one by one, howling loudly. As for Ghost Hand Fong. Just thinking about it, how could it be done? Cao Yaozu also rushed forward with a knife. Anyway, Big Rotten Hair is about to die. The stronger you charge at this time, the less likely you are to be suspected. Both sides quickly engaged in a melee. Knife and sword shadows, angry curses and howls, could not be ignored. Cao Yaozu rushed left and right, knocking over a rotten 9 dragons. Did you make a mistake? I only tried Zhong yesterday, but your legs are not weak. Nearby, there came the sound of thin-eyed voices. Has the matter with Mr. Bin been resolved? Cao Yaozu asked without answering. Solved. Fine-eyed dodged the sharp sword of a 9-dragon loser in front of him and chopped it down. Azu, let's compare and see who chopped more. Okay. Cao Yaozu responded, gripping the knife in his hand. Although experiencing this scene for the first time, smelling the bloody smell on the field, male hormones secreted wildly, not only not afraid, but also excited. However, at this moment. Azu, be careful. Jingyan suddenly shouted in a hurry. Just now, while speaking, a strong man like an iron tower appeared behind Cao Yaozu at some point, with a wooden stick filled with nails in his hand fiercely smashing it down. At a glance, one can recognize the identity of this strong man. The horse next to Ghost Hand Feng, also known as the Big Water Buffalo. Immediately, he rushed towards the direction where Cao Yaozu was. Even if he were to confront the Big Water Buffalo himself, he might not be an opponent. If this stick were to hit Cao Yaozu, he might have directly confessed it to him. As a good brother, Xian absolutely cannot bear to see death without saving. However, not yet waiting for him to rush forward. Cao Yaozu's eyes froze. Boom. Deadeye activated again. In the light red line of sight, the movements of the Big Water Buffalo suddenly became slow, and the harmful areas on its neck and chest were instantly marked in deep red. Can you dodge the falling nail-headed stick, raise your sword with your back hand, and take a sharp cut? Puff. The muffled sound of the knife cutting the meat came. Looking at the Big Water Buffalo again, I was completely stunned. After a moment, a blood line appeared at the thick neck, and the huge head rolled down. In the midst of lightning and fire, a stunning swan struck. Head landing. Blood arrows sprayed on Cao Yaozu's face, but Cao Yaozu remained motionless and more ferocious. So fast. Xian was originally concerned about the safety of Cao Yaozu, and when she saw this knife, she immediately exclaimed with joy. Originally, his fighting ability was much higher than that of Cao Yaozu. But that knife just now, he didn't even see it clearly himself. When did Cao Yaozu's fighting ability become so strong? This stunning blow has been seen by many people. Damn it, the Big Water Buffalo is dead. The Big Water Buffalo is dead. Zugoba closed, well done. Kill. Kill these scumbags like Jiolong. The first battle force on the other side of Kowloon collapsed, and in an instant, Hong Xingzai's momentum was like a rainbow, and they all wielded knives and howled to kill the Kowloon children. On the other hand, those Kowloon kids. Seeing that the Big Water Buffalo could not move a single move under Cao Yaozu's command, morale plummeted immediately. Under the fierce attack of Hong Xingzai, he was quickly defeated and fled frantically towards the direction of Jiolong City Fortress. Big Rotten Hair is still fighting bravely. Phage. Jiolong Big Buffalo, Zhu Gu has killed him. A Hong Xingzai came over to bring good news. What? De Lanfa struck a horizontal sword and killed the fleeing 9 dragons in front of him. Zuj. Which Zuj? Cao Yaozu, said Hong Xingzai happily. Hiss. De Lao Fa took a deep breath upon hearing the words. As the leader of the hall, although he is usually reckless, he is still very clear about the weight of his subordinates. In his image. Although Cao Yaozu has good skills. But if there is really a fight, even a few tied together may not be able to beat a Big Water Buffalo. Even if he wants to win against the buffalo himself, he may have to suffer serious injuries. But now, a group of fierce Big Water Buffaloes were unexpectedly killed by Cao Yaozu's sword. Good job, follow me and kill those 9 dragons. Big Rotten Hair raised his sword and shouted fiercely. Not long. The 4 or 9 sons of Kowloon were driven into the city walls. In this battle, at least nearly 100 people were killed or injured on the Kowloon city side. On the other hand, on Hong Xing's side, only a dozen or so died, while the others were severely injured. He was stabbed in his arm like nothing had happened. On the other hand, Cao Yaozu was covered in blood. Azu, how are you? Big Rotten Hair approached and slapped Cao Yaozu on the shoulder. I'm fine, it's all the blood of those 9 dragons, Cao Yaozu said nonchalantly. Okay. You've made a great achievement today. De Lao Fa exclaimed with great joy. Phage, when will I insert incense? Cao Yaozu asked directly. Previously, Big Rotten Hair said, kill the leader and raise the red staff. The big water buffalo is the leader of Ghost Hand Fong, the leader among the leaders. Upon hearing this, de Ranfa's face stiffened slightly and he smiled awkwardly. Let's eat first. We'll talk about the red stick later. Cao Yaozu sneered and remained silent in his heart. There are 4 leaders under the command of Big Rotten Hair. Cao Yaozu calculated one himself, followed by Xian, Shiya Tang, and Daoyanhui. Xian has the best relationship with Cao Yaozu. Master Tang himself doesn't like to argue, nor does he like to dance with guns and sticks. In his dictionary, wandering the world is all about the brain, without bleeding. Daoyanhui himself doesn't have much strength, but he can become the leader mainly because he is the cousin of Big Bad Hair. There have been rumors for a long time that De Lanfa intends to promote Dao Yanhui and make him a red stick, in order to take over De Lanfa's position in the future. Now it seems that it is indeed so. Cao Yaozu withdrew his gaze and did not say anything further. In his eyes, Big Rotten Hair was already a dead person. Why bother talking to a dead person? Wash the floor while washing the floor, and be hospitalized. Later, everyone will go to the Duong restaurant. I will reward you based on your achievements, Brother Fa. Big Rotten Hair called out to everyone. Bang! 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 A few gunshots shattered the silence. At the same time, a few blood flowers bloomed on the back of the Big Rotten Hair. New book seedling stage, please support me. Humble author seeks data online, flowers, evaluation tickets, and monthly tickets. It's really not possible, just click in the comments section and the author will be very happy. As long as there is enough data, the author puts in a lot of effort, writing 20,000 words a day. 008, doubt me. I'll make you hit the street. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the outskirts of Kowloon. Tong Mingxin stuffed the body into the sea lion van. That house is no longer habitable, so Cao Yaozu opened a room directly in the nearby hotel. Inside the hotel. You stay here for now, I'll handle some things and come back, Cao Yaozu said to Li Ruotong. Li Ruotong has long been frightened, how dare he stay alone. I had intended to say something, but was scared back by a glance from Cao Yaozu, so I had to curl up in bed and watch as Cao Yaozu left. Xin, come with me to the entrance of the hall. Yes, Zuj. The two of them went downstairs and drove the sea lion van towards the entrance of the hall. The headquarters of Hongxing Jiulong Hall is located at that large Phoenix bathhouse. It was already late at night, but the door to the once bustling Phoenix bathhouse was tightly closed. Cao Yaozu asked Tong Mingxin to wait in the car. Carrying the body on his own, he arrived at the door. Bang bang bang. Smash the door. It's closed today. There was an impatient voice coming from inside. It's me, Cao Yaozu said in a deep voice. Azu. With a hint of joy in his narrow-eyed voice, he quickly opened the door. Cao Yaozu entered the house. Almost all the senior 4 or 9 were present. In addition to his fine eyes, Shiya Tang and Daoyanhui are also present. Plus Cao Yaozu, all 4 leaders have arrived. Azu, how did you come back? Ada has been looking for you for a long time without any news. She asked as she walked. Cao Yaozu remained silent and threw the blanket on his shoulder onto the ground. The bodies inside rolled out. He is undoubtedly the assassin. Eyes wide open, with bullet holes in the chest, those who have already died cannot continue to die. Is he? The gunman asked with a narrow eye. Cao Yaozu nodded and took out a gun wrapped in a plastic bag. This is his murder weapon, you can find out by having someone test it. Cao Yaozu threw the gun onto the body and sat down on the sofa. Everyone glanced at each other and saw the surprise in their eyes. Unexpectedly, Cao Yaozu could really find the killer. Only De Yanhui remained silent, with a haze flashing in his eyes. Azu, who sent this assassin? Glancing at the corpse on the ground, he asked. Everyone else also perked up their ears. I don't know. Cao Yaozu shook his head and said, at that time, he shot at me. I didn't have time to ask questions, so I hit him hard with a single shot. After speaking, it seemed that he couldn't help but get up and kick the corpse twice. At this point, we can't talk about Big Boss B. There is no clear evidence. Big Bad Hair has nothing to do with Big Boss B. Speaking it out not only leaves no one believing, but also raises the alarm of Big Boss B. It may even arouse unnecessary suspicion from these fellow members of the Nine Dragons sect. Damn it, what a pity. Fine-eyed spat on the body. What's so regrettable? It must have been done by someone from the Han family shovel of the ghost hand Feng. Master Tang speculated with a gloomy face beside him. Although I say so. But Master Tang still glanced at Cao Yaozu without leaving any trace. With a narrow eye and less heart, upon hearing that Master Tang suspected ghost hand Feng, he nodded in agreement. Although De Ran Fa has many enemies in Kowloon, the only one who is currently in high demand is ghost hand Feng. Moreover, at that time, both sides were engaged in a fierce battle. There is no reason not to suspect that it is the ghost hand Feng, who is preparing to take advantage of the chaos to make Big Bad Hair. How is the situation on Sister.In.Law's side? Cao Yaozu asked knowingly. With a furrowed brow and a sigh, I have already taken my brothers there. My Sister.In.Law is missing, and our safe is also empty. It seems that this matter has something to do with my Sister.In.Law. Master Tang also took the opportunity to say, if I could find my Sister.In.Law, things would be much easier to handle. Damn it. Glancing at the table, I'll take someone to find her tomorrow. I'll search through the entire Hong Kong island and also find my Sister.In.Law. Cao Yaozu nodded in agreement and chuckled inwardly. My Sister.In.Law is still lying in the warehouse. Not to mention sweeping across Hong Kong island, even digging through the earth would be futile. However, at this moment, I heard that when Phage was shot, Azu grabbed the gun and rushed out. He's really brave, said Hui Yin with a sympathetic expression. He himself has triangular eyes and a very soft voice, which is very uncomfortable to listen to. Cao Yaozu squinted his eyes slightly and said, is there a problem? So much so that there's no problem. Hui Pai didn't smile. The key is when did you become so loyal? Are you doubting me? Cao Yaozu asked with a smile on his face. Near Kowloon City, dead people can be seen everywhere, so it's not uncommon to find someone to impersonate a gunman. Qianhui shrugged. Upon hearing this, Cao Yaozu remained silent. Walk straight to the bar at the bathhouse and grab a bottle of beer. Bite open the bottle cap and take a big sip. Cao Yaozu asked himself, I have a clear conscience. As for this gunman and that gun, the matching degree of bullet hole fingerprints can be detected by any testing agency. As for what you said. Cao Yaozu walked behind De Yanhui while speaking. Suddenly, his expression became sharp. Pa Q, AMU. Pa, the wine bottle exploded on the upside-down shining head. The sparkling wine poured down from the top of his head. Cao Yaozu suddenly took a challenge and blinded him directly. After a moment of pause, he finally realized. Do you dare to hit me when you step on the horse? De Yanhui covered his head, both surprised and angry. The shirt is soaked in alcohol and blood, sticking to the skin. Cao Yaozu's move also shook the surrounding group of elderly people. Previously, Cao Yaozu advocated harmony as the top priority and rarely clashed with his fellow disciples. Unexpectedly, today he said he would just turn his back. Azu, what are you doing? Seeing this, he quickly came over and grabbed Cao Yaozu. Don't stop me. Cao Yaozu broke free from his narrow eyes, grabbed the hair of the inverted eye, and his sharp broken wine bottle directly pressed against his throat. Dao Yanhui, I'll give you a heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys. What qualifications do you have to doubt me? Today, while we were chopping friends on Jia Bingda Road and risking our lives with Jiolong Zai, where were you? Don't think that with the hair brother covering you, you can ride on our heads and do whatever you want. If it weren't for the fact that you are a phage and a cousin today, I would have made you fall into the street. Cao Yaozu had a fierce expression on his face, staring straight at Dao Yanhui. Dao Yanhui felt the cold piercing pain on his neck, and his heart couldn't help but tremble at this moment. Looking at other seniors. After listening to Cao Yaozu's remarks, his gaze also became unfriendly. Suspect Zuj. Are you having a cute mind? Even the big water buffalo was chopped to death by him, how could it be a villain? If you have something to hide from and nothing to sow discord, it's really not something. Do you have the ability to kill the ghost hand Fong? Before Phage's bones are cold, he will expel others. He really has no eggs. The elderly people present looked disdainfully at Dao Yanhui, and all of them had strange ways of yin and yang. They have long been displeased by their usual biased and eye-catching bad hair. Today, Cao Yaozu demonstrated his divine power on Jia Bingda Road. The ruthlessness and decisiveness of chopping the big water buffalo with a knife alone have already gained the recognition of these old men. At this moment, Didi. The call machines of Xian, Shiya Tang, Dao Yanhui, and Cao Yaozu rang almost simultaneously. Cao Yaozu gave him a fierce glare and pushed him away. Dao Yanhui touched his neck, afraid to say anything more, but a hint of resentment flashed deep in his eyes. Cao Yaozu ignored him and turned on the call machine. The person in charge of Kowloon talk was killed, and before selecting a new residence, Xian Mountain Shibi temporarily managed the affairs of Kowloon Hall. Chen Yao, glancing closely at the call machine, Boss B. He's here to temporarily manage Kowloon. Master Tang and Dao Yanhui's face was also covered in gloom. It seems that everyone received the same message. Isn't it good to stay in his 1 acre and 3/4 of Xian Mountain? His hands are really stretched out, Cao Yaozu cursed and installed the call machine back. On the surface, he cursed, but on the inside, he truly realized. No wonder Boss B wants to send someone to get rid of his bad hair. Now it seems that everything makes sense. 010, Li Ruotong needs help. Boss B is here. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, early in the morning. Although Li Ruotong had woken up, he still felt very tired and didn't even want to move his fingers. Looking back, I looked at Cao Yaozu who was still sleeping next to me. Cao Yaozu is still sleeping, but his palm is still knocking on her. Li Ruotong's face suddenly turned red. Last night, for some unknown reason, she couldn't even feel a trace of resistance. Fortunately, after last night's madness, she was no longer so afraid in her heart. When she was held by Cao Yaozu, she was filled with a sense of security and slept exceptionally sweet. Li Ruotong carefully turned over and looked at Cao Yaozu. The cheeks are sharp and angular, with sword eyebrows and starry eyes. Very handsome, very heroic. Just as Li Ruotong was having wild thoughts. You've been staring at me for so long, aren't you tired? Cao Yaozu's voice rang out. Ah! Li Ruotong was startled and immediately averted his gaze. Originally, Cao Yaozu had long woken up and had been pretending to sleep there. Cao Yaozu got up and went to the bathroom to wash up. You have to stay here for another day today, I have to go out and do some work. Li Ruotong hesitated for a moment, gritted his teeth, and said, Can I help? Help. Do you know what I'm going to do? Cao Yaozu glanced at her. I know, are you from the triad? Li Ruotong's face turned slightly red and he said, but I am already your person. I plan to follow you and help you with things in the future. Pop. Cao Yaozu sprayed water out of his mouth. Can you help me with things? Cao Yaozu turned his head and glanced at Li Ruotong, then shook his head. I haven't grown enough hair yet. Do you learn from others to join the triad? Upon hearing Cao Yaozu's words of contempt, Li Ruotong immediately straightened his chest and said, I am already 18 years old and can decide my own life. Save you. Cao Yaozu sneered, are you so easy to be a triad? With your left foot in the underworld and your right foot in the barracks, you might lose your destiny one day. Li Ruotong stopped talking. Flipped over and got out of bed. However, as soon as their feet landed. Oh, Li Ruotong let out a painful cry and bowed slightly. She's still a big yellow flower girl. She tossed and turned for 2 hours last night, and now she's struggling to move around. You should rest well today and don't move around. Cao Yaozu put down the toothbrush cup in his hand. Li Ruotong finally returned to bed and lay down. Do you really want to help me? Cao Yaozu asked. Li Ruotong nodded as the little chicken pecked at the rice. After a while, I'll handle what I'm doing and take you to school, Cao Yaozu said while putting on his clothes. Going to school. Li Ruotong immediately became interested. But she couldn't figure out how to help Cao Yaozu with school. I think you're suitable to learn acting, Cao Yaozu said as he approached Li Ruotong and lifted her chin. Performance. Li Ruotong's eyes lit up. However, due to her insecure personality, her gaze was somewhat evasive. I don't think I can perform well. I want what I think, not what you think, Cao Yaozu said arrogantly. You're not trying to help me. If I switch careers and make movies in the future, you can help. Change careers to make movies. Otherwise. Do you think I'm willing to be a short mule for a lifetime? Li Ruotong didn't speak, but he felt a hint of joy in his heart. Cao Yaozu left the house, bought breakfast, and also bought clothes for Li Ruotong at the morning market. After settling in Li Ruotong, Tong Mingxin also came and the two went directly to the entrance of the hall. Ah Xin, wait in the car. Instructing Tong Mingxin to wait in the car, Cao Yaozu entered the big Phoenix bathhouse. The 4 major leaders, as well as the senior 4 or 9, have all taken their positions. It's almost 10 o'clock now, why hasn't Big Boss B come yet? Cao Yaozu looked at his watch. I have already arrived. As soon as I arrived, I asked Jiacheng to take me on the inspection. I was so closed. She bit open a bottle of beer and handed it to Cao Yaozu. The other seniors also expressed dissatisfaction. Boss B has just arrived, just like checking accounts, he wants to check all the venues in Kowloon, as if he is the head of the Kowloon Hall. Wait until almost noon. A few cars just parked outside the door. Boss B walked in with the accompaniment of Master Tang. There is still a large group of little brothers following behind. Cao Yaozu glanced at Boss B. Flat-headed, with a face full of flesh, not tall, but physically robust, similar to the image on TV. Behind him, there was also a handsome guy with long hair who scratched his ears with his thumb while walking, feeling lonely. This should be Chen Haonan, Cao Yaozu guessed in his heart. As soon as he saw Chen Haonan, Cao Yaozu couldn't help but think of stuttering. It's just a pity. Although she has a good appearance, her brain is not very good. But if given the opportunity, it would be great to have fun. Apart from Chen Haonan, the Tianer, Foreskin, Pheasant, and Jiaopi are also present. Under the gaze of everyone. Boss B walked to the center of the bathhouse and looked around. I have checked the venue, and I have heard about Offa's situation clearly. When we came out to hang out, we shouted, brother is above heaven. Since we have joined Hongxing, we must live and die together, bear the sun and moon together. Offa died in the hands of Ghost Hand Feng, so we Hongxingzi naturally cannot sit idly by. Tonight, everyone is ready to officially fight Ghost Hand Feng tomorrow. Boss B waved his arms and shouted loudly on stage. Immediately. Good. Hongxing, led by Chen Haonan and Shan Ji, applauded and cheered. Cao Yaozu glanced at Boss B and didn't speak. Saying sounds better than singing. Isn't it your big shot B who got rid of his bad hair? B, the big shot on TV, confides in Chen Haonan with utmost sincerity and loyalty. But it's just against Chen Haonan, who has conflicts with many of his peers, reporting Liankuan and burning Fat Guy Li's newsstand. As for the people in Kowloon, they lack enthusiasm and applause. The mountain chicken immediately prepared to launch a rebellion, but was stopped by Chen Haonan. Boss B's expression remained unchanged, giving Chen Haonan a wink. Chen Haonan nodded and immediately returned to the car, holding the shrine and walking in. In the shrine, Guaniri has left hand Chuanxiu and right hand Dao. Wearing straw shoes. Boss B, please bring the shrine onto the stage. I have also heard about the Kowloon incident. Alpha once said before his death that rewards should be given based on merit. Azu slays the big water buffalo and elevates it to 4-2-6 red sticks. Fine-eyed display of bravery, promoted to 4-2-6 red sticks. Master Tang, you have both the right and the left. Tie the position 4-3-2 grass shoes. Tonight is on time, I'll put you on duty. The ceremony of holding a position must be a multiple of 3. A maximum of 2 sticks can be erected at a hall entrance. With the addition of grass shoes master soup, there are exactly 3 people. As soon as this sentence is spoken, the faces of the people in Jiolong Hall only slightly softened, and they applauded one after another. The only thing that makes the face look ugly is the inverted glow. However, Cao Yaozu's mouth curved slightly. But in a moment, Cao Yaozu, Xian, and Shiye Tang looked at each other and nodded to take orders. Although Cao Yaozu had already guessed what Big Boss B was thinking. But the benefits of being a red stick outweigh the drawbacks, so there's not much to consider. 012, Comrades of Tong Mingxin. 1 Jianjun brothers defected. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Early the next morning, Cao Yaozu left the room with Li Ruotong. Staying in a hotel is not a problem, you still need to have your own house. The current housing prices on Hong Kong Island are not high, and you can buy a decent building for 200,000 yuan. With Cao Yaozu's current financial resources, not to mention renting a house, even buying a Western-style house is affordable. But these money cannot be disclosed yet, otherwise it may easily lead to suspicion, so we can only rent a house for now. Is there no intermediary? Cao Yaozu looked at the storefront on the street. Intermediary? What intermediary? Li Ruotong asked in confusion. Cao Yaozu just regained his senses. There is currently no specialized agency in Hong Kong Island, and renting a house is also directly rented by landlords. Perhaps working as an intermediary is also good. Although the return on investment is not very high, it is definitely a long-term way to get rich. Since there is no intermediary, Cao Yaozu could only buy a newspaper to see if there was any rental information in the newspaper. Ming Pao Weekly, the newspaper of Mr. Jin's family. Cao Yaozu glanced at the label in the newspaper and immediately smiled. In addition to news, there are various types of information in newspapers. There is also a section that publishes a refined version of The Legend of the Condor Heroes. The original manuscript was completed as early as 59 years ago, and in the 1970s, Mr. Jin announced the closure of the pen. I have been working on revising my previous novels since then. Ruotong, have you read The Legend of the Condor Heroes? Cao Yaozu handed the newspaper to Li Ruotong. Li Ruotong's eyes lit up. When I was in school before, I read a classmate's book. Li Ruotong was enthusiastic, I really liked the little dragon girl inside. It seems like something came to mind. Li Ruotong frowned and said, unfortunately, the only downside is that little dragon girl was taken advantage of by that villain Yin Jiping. Cao Yaozu smiled and said, if there is a chance in the future, how about you play the role of little dragon girl? Okay. Li Ruotong's eyes lit up, and then he glanced at Cao Yaozu, so what are you playing, Onghua? Cao Yaozu shook his head. Can't it be Yin Jiping? Li Ruotong asked again. Cao Yaozu smiled and said, even if I switch careers, I only make movies and don't act. Aren't you jealous when someone else plays the male lead? Li Ruotong asked curiously. Let the woman perform. Cao Yaozu shrugged. How could a woman possibly play the male lead? Li Ruotong said he couldn't understand. Cao Yaozu smiled but remained silent. The legend of the new white snake in later generations is an example. The protagonist Su Xian is played by a woman, but it does not affect that it is a classic. The two of them gathered together to read the newspaper and finally found a courtyard. The entire courtyard covers an area of approximately 500 square meters and is very close to Kowloon ferry terminal. The house is still two-story with a basement. After visiting the house, Cao Yaozu was still very satisfied. The appliances are complete, and the necessary facilities in the kitchen and bathroom are also available. The monthly rent is 1,000 yuan, with a one-time payment of 6 months and no deposit. After paying the rent in full, Cao Yaozu and Li Ruotong immediately went to test the quality of their beds. In this era, cameras have not yet been popularized for civilian use, and there is no need to worry about landlords being the kind of strange millet in Little Cherry Blossom movies. Li Ruotong has been very happy since entering the house. When testing the quality of the bed, I am no longer as passive as the previous 2 nights, and my attitude is very positive. Cao Yaozu is very satisfied. 2 hours later. Why are you so happy? Cao Yaozu looked at Li Ruotong, who was stealing music in his arms. Li Ruotong smiled and said, of course I'm happy. We have a home now. Cao Yaozu pinched Li Ruotong's face but didn't speak. Li Ruotong was born in a cage. There are 10 brothers and sisters in his family who grew up in a cage. Having a house to live in is already quite satisfying for her. Even the small house in Jiacheng City Fortress, if it weren't for having died before, Li Ruotong would still think it was quite good. It won't take much time. Outside the yard, there was a knock on the door. Who is it? Li Ruotong quickly put on his clothes. It should be Xin back. When I left before, I left a message for him at the hotel. Cao Yaozu got up, got dressed, walked out of the courtyard, and opened the door. Standing outside the door, it was indeed Tong Mingxin. But besides Tong Mingxin, there are also 5 young people. These young people are thin in stature, but they are very energetic, especially with bright eyes, with a fierce look in their eyes, making them skilled at it. Zuj, they are my comrades in arms. Hurry up and call Zhu Gu. Tong Mingxin introduced. Zuj. The 5 of them shouted together. Cao Yaozu nodded and his gaze swept over the 5 of them. That person had a fierce expression and looked a bit like Chang Wei. What's your name? Cao Yaozu looked at the young man who resembled Chang Wei. Report to Zuj, my name is Wang Jianjun. The man, who looked like Chang Wei, said forcefully. Wang Jianjun. Cao Yaozu's eyes flashed with surprise, and he immediately glanced at the young man next to him who looked a bit similar to Wang Jianjun. Is he your brother? Yes, Zuj. Wang Jianjun said, he is my younger brother Wang Jiangwo. Cao Yaozu knew it clearly in his heart. Another military king, this wave of blood earns. Tong Mingxin smiled and said, Zuj, when we were still in the army, I was the squad leader, Jianjun was the deputy squad leader, and the others, including Jiangwo, were all our soldiers. Cao Yaozu nodded. Seeing that Wang Jianjun and others were still dressed as dock laborers, he immediately took out 5,000 Hong Kong dollars and handed them to Tong Mingxin. Go change the outfits for your brothers and follow me in the future. Tong Mingxin took the money and said, do you still thank Zuj? Thank you, Zuj. Wang Jianjun and others' eyes lit up and they exclaimed excitedly. At this time, Wang Jianjun had not yet established his own big circle gang, he was just a laborer. Seeing that when Cao Yaozu made a move, it was their salary for several years, and I immediately felt that this time I came the right way. Tong Mingxin packed the money and did not leave immediately. Is there anything else? Cao Yaozu asked. Tong Mingxin nodded and whispered, Zuj, from Boss B's side, I followed him all night and found some valuable intelligence. Let's hear it. Cao Yaozu immediately became interested. After Big Boss B left last night, he met a person named Lipe Snake, who was the confidant of the six-armed Saint Fomlioye. Six-armed sage, Fomlioye. Cao Yaozu raised his eyebrows. Tong Mingxin nodded and said, it's Fong, the ghost hand of the Kowloon East District. People in the East District call him that. Does he have a daughter named Fong Jiehui who is studying abroad? Cao Yaozu asked in response. Zuj, I'm not sure about that, Tong Mingxin scratched his head. Cao Yaozu just asked him to follow Big Boss B, and he hasn't inquired about the situation with Ghost Hand Fong yet. Go back and investigate the situation with Ghost Hand Fong, and continue talking about this shameless snake matter, Cao Yaozu instructed, gesturing for Tong Mingxin to continue. Tong Mingxin quickly spoke up, Lipe Snake has already been bought by Big Boss B. After the end of the war, he will reveal Fong Lioye's whereabouts to Big Boss B. The leader under Boss B's command, named Chen Haonan, left yesterday and actively prepared for battle. It seems that he is ready to take action at any time. Upon hearing the report, Cao Yaozu's lips lit up with a smile. It's exactly what I thought. Get rid of your bad hair, take over the Nine Dragon Hall, bribe the Lipe Snake, Boss B is really scheming. Let Chen Haonan defeat the Ghost Hand Fong and promote Chen Haonan to the top. He himself listens to politics from behind the curtain, becoming the first double hall speaker in Hongxing's history. What a good abacus. At this point, Cao Yaozu withdrew his gaze and said, you don't need to change your career for now. Follow me to do things first. Everyone immediately looked solemn and said, yes, Zuj. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 013, the first battle is a decisive battle, one battle determines the world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Half an hour later, an electronic city in Kowloon Bay. 10 black pearls, Cao Yaozu said as he approached the counter. 10 units. All right. The receptionist hesitated for a moment, feeling delighted in her heart. Black Pearl, also known as Big Brother. It is an advanced version of Big Brother. In this era, Urgda has already emerged. Although it is larger than later button phones, it is much smaller and more convenient than the Guda. And the battery is also more durable than the phone. The price is extremely expensive, one unit costs 15,000 yuan. Buy 10 Urgda machines at once, this is a big customer. The receptionist immediately wrapped her phone and respectfully handed it to Cao Yaozu. Cao Yaozu was originally planning to leave and he accidentally scanned the camera on the shelf. DV machine. It doesn't make sense. At this point, DV machines probably haven't been released yet. Cao Yaozu was secretly puzzled in his heart. The receptionist saw Cao Yaozu's gaze and immediately enthusiastically introduced and spoke, it seems that Sir has a great interest in electronic products. Cao Yaozu smiled and pointed to the camcorder, show me it. Okay sir. The receptionist quickly brought the camera to Cao Yaozu and began introducing it. Sir, this is the latest JVC home camera. It is not only convenient to carry, but also equipped with a large capacity battery, which can continuously record for about an hour. Cao Yaozu nodded, turned on the camera, and tried the pixels. Although not as good as digital cameras of later generations, the picture quality can still barely pass the standard. Can you also package me 5 of these? Cao Yaozu immediately decided to buy a few JVC cameras. Mixed clubs, maybe one day someone will fall for it. Having this thing in hand not only prevents others from getting caught, but also helps others get caught. When I was supplying water to that gunman before. If Cao Yaozu had a JVC camera, even if he couldn't kill Big Boss B, it would definitely be enough for him to drink a pot just by recording the footage. It is better to prepare than not to use but not to be prepared. 5 JVC cameras. The receptionist's voice trembled slightly. Sir, JVC cameras are the latest product launched this year, and in terms of price. Money is not a problem, just wrap it up, Cao Yaozu said. Okay sir. The front desk suddenly stopped talking and quickly packed the 5 JVC cameras. Sir, the total is 258,000 yuan. I have given you a 10% discount, which is already my maximum authority. Cao Yaozu nodded and paid directly in cash. Fortunately, Hong Kong dollars are all in denominations of thousands of dollars, and you can easily take them out of the warehouse with your hand in your pocket. Otherwise, suddenly producing so much cash would definitely scare this front desk. Thank you for your patronage. The front desk respectfully accepted the money. I secretly glanced at Cao Yaozu. Beautiful and rich in gold. She couldn't help but secretly hold the business card in her hand, feeling a bit conflicted in her heart. As a salesperson in the electronic city, the commission for selling products is very high. When she was in school, she studied fashion design, but this industry requires a lot of financial support, so she had no choice but to work in an electronic city. Cao Yaozu didn't notice her gaze and was about to leave. Hey, sir, please wait a moment. The front desk called out to Cao Yaozu. Is there anything else? Cao Yaozu asked. The front desk quickly took a few steps and came to Cao Yaozu. Sir, this is my business card. I can tell that you are very interested in electronic products. If there are any new products in the future, I will share them with you as soon as possible. Upon hearing this, Cao Yaozu took the business card. Take a glance. Lu Abi. Yes sir, just call me Abi. Upon hearing this, Cao Yaozu glanced at the front desk lady. Both appearance and physique can be rated above 9 points. In terms of temperament, he is completely different from Li Ruotong. Li Ruotong gives a feeling of tranquility and elegance, not indulging in worldly pleasures. But Abi in front of her is like a neighbor girl, with delicate and relatively compact facial features, full and round apple flesh, looking pure and youthful. Okay. Cao Yaozu held the business card in his arms. I'll call you when I have time. After speaking, under Abi's gaze, Cao Yaozu left the electronic city. After returning to the car, a mobile phone and a camera were sent to each of Tong Mingxin and others. Your current task is to learn how to use mobile phones and cameras as quickly as possible. Those leaders at Tonko, Big Boss B, and Big Boss B's leader, all have to be monitored by me. If there is any important information, use the camera in your hands to record the clip. These people are all veterans who have been to the battlefield. And they all come from scout backgrounds, belonging to the elite among the elites. Killers, detectives, security guards, many professions are competent and more professional than the average person. Cao Yaozu had already planned to cultivate them into his own sharp knives and eyes. Communication equipment and recording equipment must be fully equipped. Wait until later when equipped with sophisticated weapons. This sharp blade group has just begun to take shape. Although it cost nearly 300,000 yuan in total this time. But all the money is spent on the blade, and Cao Yaozu doesn't feel sorry either. Anyway, the 1 million in my pocket was all collected from Big Rotten Hair. When I need the money in the future, I'll find someone with a lot of silly money, Tai Henin, to continue collecting it. Besides building a military. Cao Yaozu looked at Wang Jianjun and said, "You used to work as a laborer at Kowloon Pier, right?" "Yes, Zuj." Wang Jianjun nodded. "I don't care what method you use, find 2 mud trucks for me. If you need money, ask Ashin," Cao Yaozu said. "Yes." Wang Jianjun jotted down the task. The ancient puzzle of Hong Kong Island knows how to charge hard, use a knife to hit hard, and damage 1,000 enemies while losing 800. We are about to have a decisive battle with Ghost Hand Fong De. Fighting, how can we miss the mud truck? Before crossing over, Cao Yaozu had a deep understanding of the true story of a certain unrestricted fighter. Everyone dispersed. Wang Jianjun went to Kowloon Pier, while the other few, like Tong Mingxin, scattered and began searching for their respective tracking targets. Cao Yaozu drove alone to Jiabingda Road. Before reaching the entrance of the Big Phoenix bathhouse, Cao Yaozu noticed that the shops on both sides had already closed their doors tightly. The people of Wuyangyang have gathered at the entrance of the Great Phoenix bathhouse. Cao Yaozu parked his car on the roadside. Xiyan, Jiacheng, and Dao Yanhui are all present. Even Chao Dahua and some new seniors have all arrived. In the vast expanse of Wuyang, there are over 500 people from the Guangjiulong Hall. Bang, bang, bang. The roar of the motor rang out, and a convoy of bread trucks also stopped on the roadside. Chen Haonan, along with 100 young brothers from Xi'an Mountain, also attended the event. It should be said that Big Boss B is still very talented in showcasing horses and splitting friends. Before the war broke out, the momentum was already full. The first battle is a decisive battle, one battle determines the world. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 014, plans have changed. A battle of 40 to 200. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After everyone arrived, Big Boss B began to assign tasks. The sole purpose of this decisive battle is to avenge Alpha. Azu, Shiya Tang, Xian, and Dao Yanhui, along with Anan, led a team of 5 people. 3 of them led the attack, while 2 of them guarded Jiabingda Road to prevent the Ghost Hand Fong from sneaking in. However, the words were not finished yet. The people on this side of Kowloon suddenly started whispering to each other. "Brother B, is it unfair to do things like this?" Cao Yaozu lazily said, "Brother Fa is our elder brother, and revenge should also be taken by the people of our Jiolong Hall. In my opinion, it would be better to let the handsome young man guard the house in the south." The mountain chicken angrily shouted, "Hey!" Brother B said, "What are you talking about?" Cao Yaozu gave the mountain chicken a sidelong glance and said, "Who are you, loser? Where is there room for you to speak here?" The pheasant suddenly became unhappy and said, "Listen up, I'm the pheasant." "What's the mountain?" Cao Yaozu scratched his ear. "Mountain chicken, Dad's chicken." Mountain chicken shouted loudly. "Oh, it's really a loser," Cao Yaozu pursed his lips. "What did you say when you stepped on the horse?" The pheasant approached with a feigned presence. Pop. Boss B patted the table and scolded the mountain chicken, "The revenge hasn't been avenged yet. Our own people started arguing first. Are there any rules?" The mountain chicken suddenly stopped talking. Boss B gave Cao Yaozu a deep glance and said, "Whoever attacks or defends this time will be decided by drawing lots. The drawing of lots is relatively fair for the ancient puzzle players." Immediately, the opposition subsided. In no time, Chen Haonan walked up with a box in his arms. In the box, there are 5 pieces of paper, 3 with attack and 2 with defense written on them. Whether to attack or defend depends on your own fate. Boss B said in a low voice. Xiyan, Daoyanhui, Chen Haonan, Cao Yaozu, and Shirya Tang took out the notes from the box one by one. Sign it out loud. Big Boss B approached the 5 of them. 5 people opened the notes in their hands one after another. Cao Yaozu, Master Tang has drawn a guard. Xiyan, Daoyanhui, and Chen Haonan drew an attack. How about it? Do you have any objections? Boss B looked around at everyone. No one is talking. Most of the short mules who come out to cheat believe in fate. Since it is the result of drawing lots, everything drawn is their own fate. Okay, it seems there's no credit left. Cao Yaozu threw the note in his hand on the table. Master Tang also shook his head with a sigh. The horses under the 2 were also lacking in enthusiasm. Leading a team to fight against Jiulong City Fortress will definitely make it easier to gain credit. If we can defeat the Ghost Hand Feng, it would be natural for us to step out of power. And with so many people sent out, perhaps Ghost Hand Feng wouldn't even send anyone to Jiabingdadao. Boss B's gaze swept over Cao Yaozu and Master Tang. Don't be discouraged even if you draw a guard. If someone comes to fight, your task is to protect Jiabingda. Those who draw an attack will receive 5,000 yuan for killing a 9-dragon son, 50,000 yuan for killing a leader, and double the number of defenders. There is a soup and medicine fee for injuries, and a home allowance for hanging. That's settled. Boss B will also inform everyone about the reward system. Undoubtedly, it was parachuted in, rich and powerful. Previously, Big Bad Hair could only give a maximum of 2,000, but Big Boss B directly increased the reward to 5,000. The crowd didn't say much anymore, and the horses who followed Cao Yaozu and Master Tang Shoujia also showed some interest. Big Boss B led Chen Haonan, with thin eyes and inverted eyes shining, to set off. The 3 of them took away most of the elite. In the big Phoenix bathhouse, only Cao Yaozu, Master Tang, and 30 or 40 new 49 are left. These new 4 and 9 children have only been worshipped by Hongxing for a few months. My practical ability is definitely not as good as those old 4 or 9. Zuj smokes. Cao Dahua handed Cao Yaozu a cigarette and respectfully lit it. I don't know who can kill Ghost Hand Feng this time. Slaying the Ghost Hand Feng means it's the sitting hall at the entrance of Kowloon Hall. Boss B also personally mentioned this matter. Whoever you love, don't be a handsome guy. Cao Yaozu lit his cigarette and said slowly. Everyone was muffled in the drum. But Cao Yaozu has already investigated everything thoroughly. Today, no one will take this top job. According to Boss B's plan, after today's decisive battle, someone will be sent to assassinate Ghost Hand Feng. Lippy Snake will tell Big Boss B about the whereabouts of Ghost Hand Feng. When others were like headless flies searching for the whereabouts of Ghost Hand Feng, Big Boss B was telling Liang Zai Nan about the whereabouts of Ghost Hand Feng, asking Liang Zai Nan to take down Ghost Hand Feng and ascend to the throne of the Kowloon mansion in one fell swoop. This wishful thinking is really making a popping sound. Cao Yaozu naturally wouldn't let the scheme of Big Boss B succeed. I don't know if we can still get forced water supply. If we can find a forced water supply and give Big Boss B a shot in the buttocks, it should have a great program effect. Cao Yaozu thought inwardly. At this moment. Bibi. Bibi. Cao Yaozu's call machine rang. The mud truck has been obtained, located in the Union Road Industrial Zone. Glancing at the information, he casually put the call machine back. Union Road is right next to Jiabingda Road and can be reached within a short walk. At this moment, the second eldest brother's phone rang again. Wow! Second brother is big. Amazing Azu, it's a matter of birds guns changing guns. Master Tang's eyes showed envy. Cao Yaozu ignored Master Tang and stepped aside to answer the phone. Zuj, have you set off now? Tong Mingxin's voice was on the other side. No, just click on the back. The draw has reached Shojia, Cao Yaozu said. It's not good, Zuj. Tong Mingxin's voice suddenly became anxious. There are at least 200 Kowloon kids, heading towards Jiabingda Road in the southern district of Kowloon. Cao Yaozu was slightly taken aback and immediately smiled. Isn't this here to deliver money? I understand. I replied lightly and hung up the phone. Turning around, I glanced at the drowsy crowd. Cao Yaozu coughed lightly and said, "Brothers, get ready to do something." The group of 9 dragons suddenly came to their senses upon hearing these words. Master Tang also came to Cao Yaozu. Cao Yaozu's gaze swept over everyone and he said, I just received news that at least 209 dragons are coming towards Jiabingda. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately became panicked. 40 people beat 200 people. Although these short mules are a bit reckless, they are not fools. Staying here is almost equivalent to dying. Master Tang furrowed his brows and said, all the seniors have been taken away. We only have so many newcomers, how can we fight 200 people? So what do you say? Cao Yaozu glanced at him. How about? Let's run. Master Tang gritted his teeth, leave the Green Mountains without worrying about firewood. Cao Yaozu sneered and patted his shoulder, Master Tang, you are a smart person. Boss Beak came this time with a handsome guy named Nan, don't you know his intentions? Upon hearing this, Master Tang immediately fell silent. How could he not understand the intentions of Big Boss B? Praising Chen Haonan will inevitably eliminate dissidents. If we run away at this time and wait for Big Boss B and them to come back, we will definitely make a big fuss about this matter. According to Hong Xing's family tradition, even if you don't die, you have to peel off your skin. 2 people fell, and Chen Haonan's competitors were also reduced. Having a narrow eye and a simple mind makes Chen Haonan a waste. It's a matter of minutes before Chen Haonan wants to take over. What do you want to do? Master Tang asked anxiously. Cao Yaozu's gaze swept over the crowd. Everyone be quiet. The 4 or 9 children who were originally noisy suddenly fell silent. Cao Yaozu's strength has been recognized by all the 9 dragons. In times of crisis, they instinctively see Cao Yaozu as the backbone of their hearts. Seeing that Cao Yaozu remained calm at all, these new 49s finally felt a little more at ease. Are these 200 Kowloon boys human? Money that moves. Close the door, pull the shutter, anyone who wants to get rich, come with me. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 001, is it okay, little dog? You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the darkness, Cao Yaozu felt as if he had turned into a flat boat. The undulating waves drove the boat to sway non-stop. Vaguely, a female voice rang out. Hey! Are you lying down now? Is that okay, little dog? Hello, hello. The voice was lazy, crispy to the bone, with a hint of gluttony and resentment. It hurts too much. Where am I? Cao Yaozu covered his head, confused, and opened his eyes. Legs. Thighs. Tight and round, sparkling like jade thighs. Looking up, there was Zhang Fengyin's face. Under the dim light, the vermilion lipstick, peach blossom eyes, delicate face, combined with captivating gaze, all exude a mature flavor. Hiss. Feeling the heat of her exhalation, Cao Yaozu took a deep breath and quickly sat up. Why is this woman so familiar when she has never seen her before? Just as Cao Yaozu's heart was filled with doubts, an inexplicable memory flooded into my mind. In the 1980s, Hong Kong Island. An undercover agent with the same name and surname. As for the woman in front of me. Is she sister.in.law? Playing a game, I didn't expect to really travel. Cao Yaozu suddenly became speechless. A minute ago, while playing with my cousin in the wilderness at home, a window suddenly popped up on my computer. If you were to travel, you could only bring 3 things, what would you choose? 1. A dancing chicken. 2. A random skill for the game currently being played. 3. A portable warehouse, the size of a basketball court. 4. 2 iron kidneys. 5. A mobile phone, without network. Cao Yaozu decisively chose the 2/3/4 option, and then a severe head pain spread, with both eyes turning black. Upon regaining consciousness, I arrived at Hong Kong Island. And this Hong Kong Island seems different from the one I originally remembered. According to the absorbed memory, this Hong Kong Island not only has forces such as Liansheng, Hongxing, Dongxing, etc. and those big stars who were well-known in their past lives. It seems to be a world where reality and film blend together. My current identity is an undercover agent who has been working in Hongxing for several years. My elder brother is a notorious gossip in Hongxing's Kowloon dialect. It's still the early 1980s, and Fine-Eyed works under the command of Big Bad Hair, without becoming a Kowloon official. But now the problem arises. Do the options for crossing over still count? Cao Yaozu quickly held his breath and realized that there was a portable warehouse in his mind. What game skill has awakened has not been discovered yet. Just as Cao Yaozu was pondering in his heart. Hello. What's going on today, you silly kid? In the past, I used to get caught up in every stitch, but today I'm just pretending to be a zombie without moving. The sister.in.law shouted in dissatisfaction, with even more resentment in her tone. However, at this time, Cao Yaozu had already come to his senses. Looking at my sister.in.law, even my eyes were almost drawn. Cao Yaozu gave his sister.in.law a careful glance. Sister-in-law looks very beautiful, and the car lights are also bright enough. Wearing a semi-transparent lace nightgown, she had no other features. This looks and figure are more than enough to be a Hong Kong lady. My predecessor was overwhelmed by my sister.in.law and became overly emotional. And according to memory, Hongxing and the local gang in Kowloon had a dispute, and Alanfa was busy telling stories in the tea house today and couldn't come back. Not to mention, I am a descendant of the old Cao family. A great man born in heaven and earth, how can he remain depressed for a long time? Dalanfa, this big brother, usually doesn't treat himself very well. As long as he finds an opportunity, Cao Yaozu doesn't mind leaving him alone or replacing him directly. Now it's finally time to cross over, let's suppress the shock first. Cao Yaozu immediately decided to explore his sister.in.law's background. I don't know how long it has been. Bang, bang, bang. A rough knocking on the door suddenly rang out. Done, Alpha is back, exclaimed the sister.in.law in surprise. The knocking on the door was familiar to her. It's Hongxing Jiulong Hall, sitting at the entrance, big rotten hair. Ah. Cao Yaozu, who was studying interior decoration and gluing, suddenly looked up and said, Park Street. Didn't he go to the tea house today to talk about it? What to do? What to do? The sister.in.law was in a state of confusion and a little flustered. Cao Yaozu was also somewhat panicked and quickly looked up around. If discovered, it would be 3 knives and 6 holes, I don't even know how to die. However, at this moment. Boom! Cao Yaozu's brain suddenly roared. In an instant, my gaze turned pale red, and everything around me seemed to be suddenly pressed the slow down button, becoming slow. The sister. In.law beside him, with her heart, eyebrows, and lower abdomen all shrouded in a deep red glow. Besides that, he also noticed that the door of the bathroom was flashing yellow light. Is this Dead-eye? Cao Yaozu was secretly pleased in his heart. This skill is exactly what Cao Yaozu used to play in the game, The Great Escort in the Wilderness, before his travels. The Eye of Death. Not only can it delay the flow of time, mark other people's vital parts, but in some important locations, there will also be yellow markings. Moreover, after marking the human body with a gun, it is almost possible to fire without fail. Immediately, the surrounding time flow rate returned to normal. Cao Yaozu stood up and walked towards the bathroom door. The bathroom door is yellow. There may be key hints. After pushing open the door, Cao Yaozu looked around and finally gathered on the ground. The uncovered drain caught the eye, and there were a few scattered strands of hair next to the drain. Cao Yaozu's face suddenly showed a smile. "Sister-in-law, don't worry." After finishing speaking, he quickly got up and got dressed, and went to the bathroom. Sprinkled some of the dirty water from mopping the floor on his white shirt, then picked up the floor drain, picked up the scissors from the table, cut all of his sister-in-law's hair, got wet and scattered it, and placed it next to the floor drain. The sister-in-law's eyes lit up when she saw this scene. Not bad. There are many reasons why she can take a liking to Cao Yaozu. Including but not limited to, Cao Yaozu's core strength is good, he is handsome, and his mind is bright. And, today, she seemed to feel that Cao Yaozu's core strength seemed stronger than before. Without much time to think, she quickly put on her clothes, took a deep breath, and opened the door. Why is it so long? The door opened, and big rotten hair scratched its huge bald head as it walked in confusion. "When I see men's shoes on the ground." His face immediately turned pale, and he looked at his sister-in-law with anger. 015, Cao Dahua. I didn't get on the car. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Union Road, Industrial Zone. The workers went on strike a few days ago, and now the industrial area is cold and deserted, with many buildings only being framed. Two inconspicuous mud trucks were parked on the open space next to the road. Combined with the gravel and sand on the ground, it looks very suitable for the scene. However, if a helicopter flies by in the sky, you can see that the bodies of these two mud trucks are already crowded with people. More than 40 Hongxingzai from the entrance of Kowloon Hall, all squatting or lying down, curled up. Wrapped around a white towel in his left hand, holding a bright and shiny guy in his right hand. Zuj spoke up. No one is allowed to speak up. Cao Dahua whispered to these people, occasionally secretly glancing at the situation on the road. There is no trace of people on the entire road. A gentle breeze blows, rolling up paper scraps and dust on the ground. It looks bleak, severe. After releasing the words, Cao Dahua returned to the mud truck. Cao Yaozu was crawling and looking outside. "Zuj, can we really win?" Cao Dahua asked in a low voice. Cao Yaozu glanced at Cao Dahua without speaking. He is well aware of Cao Dahua's true identity. But after weighing the pros and cons, he still decided to keep Cao Dahua by his side. Club fights, as long as they don't involve ordinary people, mediocre people are too lazy to take care of them. There's no need to worry about calling the police, let alone worry about Cao Dahua. On the contrary, as long as Cao Dahua is well utilized, he may even have unexpected gains. It took less than 10 minutes. "Get down, someone's coming," Cao Yaozu whispered. Cao Dahua quickly curled up his body. Not long after, on the south side of Jiacheng district, many people appeared one after another and walked along the street. Each person has a strong physique and a fierce expression, indicating that they are not a good person. The leader of the team is a strong man with a tiger back and a bare waist. Brother Menghua, this is definitely a top priority. Now the big water buffalo is fighting on the street. After this battle is over, you, Brother Fierce Fire, will be the head of Feng's side. Remember to give your brothers a hand then, Brother Fierce Fire. A group of 9 dragons gathered around the strong man, flattering him one after another. That strong man is naturally a raging fire. Listening to everyone's praise, he squinted his eyes and was very pleased. Hong Xing's group of Han family shovels never expected us to sneak attack their headquarters. Brothers, work hard. Feng Yi also said, go back and give rewards based on your achievements. Fierce and bold, he said to everyone. As soon as these words were spoken, the 9 dragons all praised them one after another. Meng Hua's heart became increasingly proud. He received intelligence that the elite of Hongxing Brigade had already gone to Jiolong City Fortress. This time I found a job stealing from home, it's really a pie in the sky. I don't know how those Hongxingzi would feel when they returned and saw that Jia Bingda's Taoist family was gone. The more he thought about it, the more proud he became in his heart, and he couldn't help but accelerate his pace. Carrying the 4 or 9 young men from the Jiolong City village, passing by those 2 inconspicuous mud trucks, they turned into Jia Bingda Road and disappeared. Oh, another guy with a simple mind and well-developed limbs, Cao Yaozu withdrew his gaze. 10 minutes later. Ada, go down and open the iron bolt at the back of the car. Tell the brothers, as soon as the car stops, get off and start filming. Cao Dahua nodded and quickly got off the car, opening all the iron bolts behind the 2 mud trucks. Did you get it done? Cao Yaozu asked. Done. Cao Dahua's voice came from behind the car. Bombardment, the engine of the mud truck made a huge roar, and the exhaust pipe spewed up a patch of sand and dust. 2 mud trucks loaded with Hongxingzai drove towards Jia Bingda Road. As the smoke dissipated, Cao Dahua's eyes widened wide. I didn't get on the car. I didn't get on the car. Cao Dahua looked bewildered and shouted loudly. However, the sound of the mud truck's engine directly overshadowed his shouting, and soon turned to Jia Bingda Road and disappeared, leaving only Cao Dahua scattered in the wind. Jia Bingda said, at the entrance of the big phoenix bathroom. Fierce Fire and a group of 9 dragons looked at the large phoenix bathhouse with the gate tightly closed and the rolling shutter pulled down, and were dumbfounded. According to intelligence, aren't there dozens of Hongxingzi guarding here? Why isn't there anyone? Instinctively, the Fierce Fire suspected that there was an ambush around and glanced around. But it was discovered that the shops around were all closed, with only a few passers-by running away in panic after seeing them. Damn it, forget it. Break open the door for me, give it a beating first, and then set it on fire. With a sudden order of fire. 2 Kowloon boys approached with hammers, ready to smash open the rolling shutter. Meng Hua looked around again and found that there was really no one, and his heart suddenly became happy. Did you steal Hongxing's hometown without spending a single soldier? He really deserves to be in charge. Damn it, smash the door slowly, I'll do it. Fierce Fire rushed forward and snatched the hammer from a Kowloon boy's hand. However, just as he was about to smash it. Bang, bang, bang. In the distance, the loud roar of the mud truck could be heard. Fierce Fire and the 9 dragons looked towards the direction of the sound, and saw 2 mud trucks shoulder to shoulder, charging towards this side with full power. Holy crap, the sound of the raging fire suddenly increased by 8 degrees. The other Kowloon kids were all dumbfounded. The streets of Hong Kong Island are all old streets, very narrow. Jia Bingda Road is narrower. Those 2 mud trucks are almost filling the entire street. Just rush over like this, there's no place to hide even. Damn it, hurry up. I'm dying, I'm dying. Don't squeeze me, damn it. In an instant, the once arrogant Kowloon kids suddenly became a mess. Before we could do anything, many people were crowded and trampled on by the chaotic crowd. Stepping on a horse. Meng Hua's heart trembled with fear, and he couldn't help but exert more force in his hand, swinging the sledgehammer fiercely to strike. If you don't smash the door, you probably have to explain everything here. Bang. Bang. Under the instinct of survival, the power of the Fierce Fire increased significantly, and with just 2 hammers, it smashed open the iron gate. Click. The glass of the gate shattered, and the flames rushed in first. Upon seeing this, other Kowloon cubs rushed towards the door in a swarm. The door was so big that so many people rushed in, only to be forcibly blocked at the entrance. When the mud truck is within reach, those 9 dragons are just enough to squeeze in a dozen or so. The roar of the engine is getting closer and closer. Brother Fierce Fire, help me. 9 Dragon Boy, who had previously been flattering Fierce Fire, was stuck at the door and reached out his hand. Upon seeing the situation, the flames quickly grabbed the person and prepared to pull them inside. However, at this moment, bang 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 bang. A series of impacts sounded. In an instant, those Kowloon kids surging outside flew out like kites with broken strings. The Fierce Fire suddenly felt a release in its hand and lay down directly under inertia. Looking at my hand, there is only one broken arm left. Ah! Suddenly, Hua threw away his broken arm and looked out the door. However, at this moment, he saw the most unforgettable scene in his life. Many Kowloon cubs have already been knocked out, and there are still people under the wheels who have not died yet howling. Most of those who flew out have broken bones or ruptured internal organs. However, before they could react, dozens of Hongxingzi got off the mud truck and started chopping anyone they saw. Those injured Kowloon boys have no strength to fight back. A few can avoid collisions and still fight. After only struggling for a moment, he was killed by the rushing Hongxingzi's chaotic sword. It's over, it's all over. The raging fire spoke out of its wits, and the crisis of death spread in its heart. Brother Menghua, that person killed the big water buffalo. Beside the raging fire, a little brother pointed outside and screamed. Menghua quickly looked towards the direction pointed by the little brother. Outside the door, a young man walked towards the door, dragging a long knife in his hand on the blood-stained ground, leaving a mark. Menghua was already scared out of his wits by the impact of the mud truck, and after staring at this young man, he couldn't help but shiver. He could feel that the young man had already locked himself in. The howls of Jiolong Zai, the cries of Hongxing Zai, and the surrounding swords and shadows seemed to have become embellishments of this young man in this moment. Seeking flowers, evaluation tickets, monthly tickets, 1 yuan reward, 1 comment. Seeking various data. As long as there is enough data, the author is risking his life. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.